Hey, what's up? Iron Tamer Dave Whitley here. Going to show you a few more things. This is part 2 of some uses for light kettlebells for building tremendous power and specifically grip strength in what I'm going to show you today, and having some carryover into some other feats of strength, bending, that sort of stuff. Last video that I did in part 1, we used this Kettlebell Kings 12 kilo competition style bell, which I love very much. I've not mastered the art of chalking a kettlebell yet, but that's okay. So last time we talked about some pronation, supination stuff. What I'm going to show you today is some stuff that will work with your crushing grip and also wrist strength. And we're going to move on up the arm a little bit and get into some above the elbow bicep work, and on up towards the shoulder, and some working on the pressing groove just a little bit. The first one I want to show you is a variation of a curl. Now, I know curls have gotten a bad rap amongst the functional training people because, you know, you don't curl in the squat rack, which, by the way, is completely stupid, because curling in the squat rack is the only way to get arms as big as legs. That's what I work on. That's what I try to do. So, but that's barbells and such. We're going to talk about how to use this kettlebell, which is fairly lightweight, 12 kilos, 26 pounds, which isn't much weight for a one-arm curl for me. It may be a lot for you. If that's okay, you can adjust down. The beautiful thing about these competition-sized bells is we can know that the leverage factor is always going to be the same, because from the fulcrum point, which is the elbow in this particular lift, to the end of the kettlebell is going to be consistent regardless of the weight. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to take a good grip on it, and I'm going to stand up with it. I'm going to pin my elbow into my hip. I'm going to curl it, and I'm going to keep the bottom of the kettlebell out as far away from my forearm as I can. So it's similar to a plate curl that you would do with a barbell. So I call that a bottoms out curl, just because when I write stuff down, I like to be able to have a good short way to notate things. So that will build crushing strength, wrist flexion strength, and you also get a little bit of bicep work in there too with it when you do that. If you do it one arm at a time, sinking that elbow in, you really get to stabilize, and you sinking the shoulder into its socket and using the lat to essentially move the shoulder, or move the elbow joint into the body. So you don't have an upper arm anymore as far as motion goes. All the action comes from here, and you can use the hip, waist, rib area, depending on how your body structure is, almost like a preacher bench. So it's a supported curl, nothing moving but the forearm. It's a great exercise, builds a lot of crushing strength. I keep the reps fairly low on this, somewhere in the 2 to 5 range most of the time. You could certainly experiment with higher reps if you wanted to, but you don't need much weight for this. Like 12 kilos is gonna be pretty challenging for most average strength people. 16 kilos starts to get pretty rowdy for most folks. So that's the first one. All of those same points of structure apply to what I'm about to show you. This only thing that's going to change is hand position. So I'm going to go from a supinated grip with the palm up, like a standard barbell or dumbbell curl would be, or maybe slightly pronated like you would have with an easy curl bar, whatever's comfortable for your wrist position when you're doing that. I'm going to go from that grip to like a hammer grip. And I've heard these called hammer curls before, but I do so much stuff with actual hammers that I don't call this a hammer curl. I call it a pitcher curl, P-I-T-C-H-E-R, because what winds up happening is I'm in the exact same position as I would be if I were holding a pitcher of liquid, like, you know, beer or something. So right there like that, and back down. If you're feeling really rowdy about it, you can try to bring it up and then lower it and stop at parallel, which I don't feel especially rowdy right now. Pretty tough move. That gets the radial deviation, or is it radial ulnar deviation? Radial deviation of the wrist, and also brachialis and brachioradialis and all the same stuff you would get with a conventional dumbbell hammer curl, which of course looks like this. So it's the same motion as a dumbbell hammer curl, except the bottom of the kettlebell is out and you have to crush grip it. Pitcher curl is what I call it. The pitcher curl can give way to a bottoms up press. Just curl it up instead of clean it and then press it from there, which the press isn't that heavy, but it does help with alignment and keeping the elbow under the hand and all the other stuff that goes along with pressing, which I might talk about in a subsequent video. I'll throw a little bit more chalk on before I show you the next variation. So what I'm going to do is a bottoms up press and pitcher curl combination, but I'm going to make it just a little bit more interesting by including this dumbbell. So curl it into position, set the dumbbell on top, get everything lined up, press it up slowly, bring it down slowly. This will absolutely ensure that the elbow stays under the wrist, because if you get off by just a little bit down here, the further away from the elbow you go, the more of a variance that becomes. So play with those. You got the bottoms out curl, kettlebell curl, the pitcher curl, and then the pitcher curl into a bottoms up press. You don't have to use a dumbbell if you want to add a little weight to your bottoms up press with that. You can certainly do it with a plate. So I have a 2.5 pound plate because that's what was laying on the floor. I'm gonna curl it up, lay the plate on top of there, press it up and bring it down. And the objective, of course, is to not let the plate fall off. If it does fall off and hits you in the face or the toe or anything in between, I told you that that was a potential hazard, so don't sue me. If you have questions, let me know. Thanks again to Kettlebell Kings for their outstanding product, and have a strong day.